Welcome to your news update for Monday, July 31st, 2023. Today I will be covering one story and that story alone. RFK Jr. talked to Dennis Porter in a roughly half an hour interview, and this was the first time that RFK has given an interview answering questions on the topic of Bitcoin. Before I start, there's two things to note. First, I'm going to be playing this a little bit quicker than that base 1x speed. I'm going to be playing it at 1.15 speed, just so we can get through this a little bit faster. And secondly, I will be taking sections of what RFK is saying and then editing certain bits out, not to change what RFK is saying. I want to make that very clear. I am not changing his narrative here. All I'm doing is shortening it up, making it so that we can get to his point a little bit quicker. And finally, I encourage you to watch the full interview. All right, with that established, I'm going to cover the numbers real quick, but you need to know that Mining Disrupt 2024 is happening, and that's going to be taking place June 25th through the 27th, once again, in Miami. On Friday, I'll be going over this year's conference and talking about how, right now, there could be signs pointing to one of the most bullish runs that we have ever seen. We're here on TimeChainCalendar.com, and we can see, well, a new block was just found for one thing, but in the top right-hand corner, we see the exchange rate sitting at $29,433 for one Bitcoin. For sats, you're looking at 3,397 sats per dollar. The average block time is 10 minutes and 21 seconds, just over that target time of 10 minutes, meaning the next difficulty adjustment will be a downward shift of 3.27%. And the hash rate, another block was just found. Wow, they are cruising in right now. The average hash rate for the last 14 days is 372.4 exahash. I encourage you to check out TimeChainCalendar.com. It's an incredible site packed with information. Before I get into this interview, make sure that you've liked and subscribed so you can stay up to date on all things Bitcoin mining and energy related. Okay. Let's get to the exclusive interview that RFK gave at Mining Disrupt 2023 in Miami. And I'm going to start right at the beginning where Dennis asks RFK, how is it going? How has the campaign trail been treating you?
Well, the campaign has been going shockingly well. I'm under, of course, attack by the DNC as people who watched the hearing on the weaponization of government agencies last night in front of the Congressional Judiciary Committee. My polling numbers are better than any. In terms of favorability ratings, I'm, I think, 21 points ahead of any other candidate. I have the lowest unfavorability ratings. And this is according to a gold standard Harvard-Harris poll that came out 2 days ago at kind of the height of these attacks against me. So I don't know why that is, but apparently the American people are seeing through some of these attacks and are actually giving me a chance to hear my side of the story. So I'm very happy, and the campaign trail has been fun for me.
This is the signal amid all the noise, that no matter what people are saying, no matter what the accepted narrative is, there is a true story. Sometimes that story is that Bitcoin is actually good for the environment, as people are coming more and more to realize, or that RFK actually does know what he's talking about and might be an intelligent person. And he says right there that his favorability is higher than any other candidate and his unfavorability is lower than any other candidate. Now, why would that be? Why would those polling numbers tell a completely different story from what the legacy media is telling us? Could it be that our government has captured many or all of these legacy media corporations and are telling them what the accepted narrative is? And is it possible that people like you and myself that listen to many of the podcasts that RFK has been on have gone, the same exact thing is true of Bitcoin. Legacy media has a narrative that they're trying to shove down your and my throats. But then once you actually talk to people, once you actually what's that? Verify and not trust, you start to learn that there's a lot more to Bitcoin than what you've been led to believe. Dennis now asks RFK what it was that was the catalyst. What got him, RFK, into Bitcoin?
The truckers were not, they were, if you see if you watch the videos, the many videos of that protest, it was almost like Woodstock. It was kind of a joyful celebration. People were being kind to each other. They were picking up garbage. They were dancing in the streets.
This is pure anecdote. I don't have hard data aside from what somebody I trust told me. So yes, I have to trust. But I know people that live in Canada, and they told me and sent me pictures of that trucker protest and what it looked like. People there hanging out, cooking burgers, chilling, having a good time, not doing anything violent whatsoever.
The worst thing that happened, in my view, was that in the midst of this protest, the Canadian government got the banks the Canadian government went using facial recognition and GPS and a number of other, they got the license plates of the trucks involved. They located and identified who the owners were, and then they shut down their bank accounts.
I don't even have a word for how despicable that is. Shutting down people's bank accounts so they can't buy food, can't pay their bills, can't do the things that they need to do. Money is the invention, the discovery, if you will, of our ability, the human species' ability to transact our time and energy. And when a centralized government comes along and says, oh, no, you don't get to use your time and energy in the way that you would like to, we get to say how you get to use that, or in this case, you don't get to use it at all. What a national CBDC would represent is a single, centralized entity with complete, unequivocal control over every single monetary action you wish to take.
I looked at what they were doing in China, where they had not only digitalized currencies, but they had program currencies. So that if people did not achieve certain credit scores, or if you weren't wearing your mask when the facial recognition during a mask day, when the facial recognition systems, which are ubiquitous in China, spotted you without a mask on the street, if your communications were not something that pleased the government, that they could make it so that your credit card would not function, that it would maybe perhaps only function to in grocery stores within a certain radius of your home.
Imagine that. Imagine if 100% of your money made you a prisoner. Imagine it only worked in a certain radius or certain areas, and if you wanted to buy anything, you have to be in that place. And if you go out of that place, maybe you walk beyond the border of where your money is allowed to be used, it just doesn't work anymore. You would be a prisoner in your own home. This is directly connected to energy. Dennis Porter asks RFK about the energy, the implications of that, the concerns that he might have. This is his answer.
A lot of the concerns about energy use are smokescreens, but there are real problems. I mean, Bitcoin mining is a high energy user. Bitcoin miners have a huge incentive to pursue the lowest cost energy, and that usually means energy that's surplus energy, and that is, for example, a lot of coal-burning power plants. Coal-burning power plants, like many other power plants, carbon field power plants, can't turn off at night, and so they have to keep producing energy even when there's no market for it. And Bitcoiners chase those kind of markets. They also chase the markets in green energy, where there are big surpluses in variable power. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure to encourage Bitcoiners to have good energy policies and good energy.
It's interesting that RFK says that he's going to encourage Bitcoin miners to have good policy and good protocol in regards to energy. I don't think that's necessary. Bitcoin miners don't want to spend more money on energy than they have to. They're modern-day alchemists. They're transmuting energy into Bitcoin and then selling that Bitcoin for a profit. In a way, they're kind of selling the energy in a strange way, but the point here is that RFK doesn't really have to incentivize or encourage Bitcoin miners to chase the best policy or protocol. They're going to do that on their own. That's what the free market is going to encourage them to do. But the biggest takeaway is what he says right at the beginning of answering that question. He says that many of the narratives, a lot of the talk around Bitcoin mining and its energy use are smokescreens. And RFK is going through the same thing personally. A lot of the stuff said about him is a bunch of nonsense. If you spend the time to verify and not trust, you will see that what he says is accurate. You will see that what he's saying is pretty sane stuff. He asks a lot of questions. He goes, hey, why is it this way? And why does this big corporation over here not have it that way? How come the little guy has to pay a bunch of money, but the big guy that has billions of dollars doesn't? And why is it that this company over here can dump a bunch of toxins into the river, killing all the fish and leaving fishermen without a job? Why is that okay? He asks questions. He asks good questions, and I do think that the American people in large respect that curiosity. I encourage you to check out the full exclusive interview right here on Mining Disrupt. And if you're interested in learning far more about the Bitcoin mining and energy side of things and want to meet all sorts of extremely brilliant people in this space, make sure you get your tickets to Mining Disrupt 2024, happening right there in Miami, Florida once again, June 25th through the 27th. Just under a year away at this point. Until next time.